gentlemen, this is the third edition of our Urban Conversations. We started in partnership with ICRIER, and in particular, one of the anchors of these conversations was and is Dr. Ishar Ahluwalia, who is also the chairperson of ICRIER. ICRIER is today represented by Dr. Meenu Tiwari because Ishar is traveling much as she would have loved to be here, and she was the one who actually, sort of got Shyam Khandekar to accept our invite to anchor the third edition of Conversations. As you know, this is about the public domain in the city, how to use its potential to energize our cities and make them more livable. We all, at one time or the other have felt sorry that there are not enough public spaces. The ones that are there are usually encroached, whether it's the pavement, whether it's the park, whether it's any open space, and these are not regulated. At least in our country, they are not regulated, and it's kind of free for all in a sense, unlike some of the better governed municipalities where the civic governance takes responsibility for managing all the spaces. So this is what it's about, and we have a wonderful, extremely, experienced person who's designed cities, who's worked as a designer, based out of Netherlands, and is here with us this evening. That's Shyam Khandekar. Right.
Thank you. Mr. Raj Lebahan and Dr. Meenu Tiwari have already introduced the topic which I would like to talk about. And it's about public domain in a city. So what is that? I'll come to that. It's described in different ways. And how does one use to increase the quality of public domain to make our cities more livable? And in a way which is culturally suited to India, climatically relevant, that is important. And this is what will make the cities, you can call it livable, sustainable, anything, but happy cities is a wonderful word. Recently, actually, a book has come out under that name also. And I thought it's a very it's written by a journalist who is not a professional planner, so he went straight to the point. Happy cities, he's called it. We have reviewed it in our second issue, but it's a wonderful book. Since I have only 15 minutes to talk about public realm and urban design and urban planning, I thought I'll start by talking about Indian food. We all know the illustration on the left side, Matar Paneer, or some name like that. And the thing is that the paneer part gets a lot of importance very often. However, all of us know that it is the gravy which gives the taste to the dish actually, and paneer by itself, which is illustrated on the right side, is not that interesting. It can be quite bland in taste. Effectively, cities are like that. Imagine the buildings being the paneer blocks, and all the space between the paneer blocks, that is the gravy, that is the public domain, the space between the cities. So unless that gravy is tasty, it's energized, it gives us vitality, it's not going to work. So when I talk about public domain, I'm talking about all the spaces which are between buildings. And in fact, lots of spaces which I'm afraid to say almost 95% of the architects just forget about because they're too busy designing buildings and drawing elevations. Let's look at this photograph of Marine Drive in Mumbai. And if you look at this photograph, you will agree with me that it is actually the sweep of the curve which characterizes the city at that particular place. And in fact, the buildings themselves are irrelevant. These buildings will come and go, and the curve will keep on defining that particular part of Mumbai. So the public domain and the quality of the city and the inspiration which that gives us all, it is actually defined by the public space. So clearly in my logic, It is the primacy of the urban space, and the buildings have to be subservient to it. What do the buildings have to do then? They have to be happy that they are allowed to sit on such an interesting public space and contribute something to it. So in a way, they have to integrate themselves with that public space and not turn their back to it, but in a way, add some activity to it, because that's how that public space will be energized. I'll give you a couple of examples. One in the Netherlands, both examples I have worked on, one in the Netherlands, one in India, so that we do not say it's how it is possible. Is it possible in India? This is a project in the Netherlands. I've been working on it for actually 2 decades. It's 40 hectares of redevelopment, high density, mixed use, residential, offices, lots of other amenities, next to a railway station. Highly sustainable development. The central feature in this whole project is that water body which you see. It's a 400-meter long water body. It's the largest solar collector in the country, with a basin at the bottom where the water keeps on flowing, and the heat is extracted from the water to be stored underground and later on to be used in heating the buildings. But more importantly, that water body becomes the central space in that project, which gives it's the heart of the